We got a new podcast in the description. Gave my review of NBA 2K19. Talked about Brockhampton's new album. Now, we attempt to milk some more views out of this Jimmy Butler situation. Because one thing that I think is really interesting with Jimmy Butler is while he's been a borderline top 10 player for the last 3 or 4 years, how valuable and how sure of a thing is he to trade for when you start thinking about his personality, the way his win-now mentality, which in one sense we can praise, but in another sense it can sometimes put teammates in an awkward position, because, Jimmy's got a little bit of Kobe in him, where he'll make enemies if he has to. Which you could argue is maybe a good or not good thing for a team, because sometimes a guy like Tim Duncan or Dirk, with their win now or just winning in general mentalities, but while still being kind of friendlier people, you could argue that that is actually better for a team. So we've seen that happen with Jimmy Butler this year with the T-Wolves, but there were also rumors of that happening with him towards kind of the end of his Bulls tenure. I remember rumors of, not rumors, Jimmy just made a flat-out quote once when he said, "The young dudes here see me as the 20-point scorer, and the old guys see me as the dude who was a rookie for them." And then there were rumors that Jimmy and Derrick Rose were never totally on the same page. Not necessarily disliking each other, but kind of reminds me of John Wall and Bradley Beal right now, right? Where it's it hasn't gone as well on the floor as it probably should. And if you dig deep enough, you can find some stories out there where they don't dislike each other, but they don't totally love each other either. So is there a chance that Jimmy Butler could actually be a bit of a locker room problem, where you take him on and you love the idea of him because of his defense and he's super hard-nosed and he'll get in guys' faces and get them to play hard, but when does that turn into him just being kind of an asshole? There's a chance that that's a thing. Now, we have to give Jimmy some benefit of the doubt, because everyone is saying the same thing about Andrew Wiggins, and Jimmy saw it from a day in and day out standpoint, so I'm sure he had some problems there, and I guarantee that they were valid. But if you're some other team that's looking to acquire him, I think that's something you do need to care about. And depending on the guys on your roster, there's a chance that Jimmy could, kill the confidence of someone, maybe some young dude who's not totally there yet, but has potential. The story I would go back to is the DeMarcus Cousins Nick Stauskas thing, where Boogie basically just bullied Stauskas for the entire time he was in Sacramento, to the point where the Kings had no choice but to trade the guy. When I say trade, they had to trade Stauskas. Obviously, you choose Boogie over Sauce Castillo. Can that happen with Jimmy? Maybe. And the other problem with that is, while I love Jimmy Butler, he's not good enough to be okay with the idea of someone on your team folding within themselves because of Jimmy's super alphaness, like you would with Kobe in his prime, for example, because in his prime you could argue Kobe was the best player in the league. Whereas Jimmy, love him as a player, I've sung his praises for a while now, but is it worth going through all that trouble for a guy who might be the 13th best player in the league? The other thing with Jimmy is we got to look at how he's going to age, because whatever team's going to trade for him, you're going to look to re-sign him, of course, to a 4 or 5 year deal, whatever it would be. I don't remember all the NBA contract rules, but a lengthy contract nonetheless, right? Dude's has some injury history. This season he played 59 games. The year before that, he played mid-70s, but then before that, he was lingering around 65 games for 3 years in a row. And he's about to be 29 years old. So, if you're signing 29-year-old Jimmy Butler, whose body could just give up on him at any time, then that's risky. Now, of course, if Thibodeau is not your coach, then you'll have reason to believe Jimmy's not going to play a crap ton of minutes. But you could argue the damage is already done, and the foundation has already been laid out for Jimmy to perhaps not age as gracefully as he gets older here. One thing with him is he plays really hard, which is great, and I think it reflects a lot in like his free throw numbers because the dude just attacks the rim relentlessly, but he also draws a lot of contact. And we've seen with Dwayne Wade, Gerald Wallace, these wing players who just attack and attack and attack, and they fall down, and yeah, they get up, but then you look up and Gerald Wallace has like no third leg of his career at all. We know how the last 6 years have gone for Dwayne Wade, and given that Jimmy has not been the beacon of playing full seasons, I'm just saying, this is something that you have to care about. You look at this in comparison to someone like a DeAndre Jordan. I know different positions and all that, but in terms of health, DeAndre has pretty much never missed a significant length of time and has played full seasons 3 times and then nearly 3 other times. I'm not scared of him aging. I'm scared of Jimmy Butler aging. Now, there is a flip side to all this. I already mentioned Thibodeau not being his head coach, which that could be a thing, so his minutes could go down. But the other thing is, there's a chance Jimmy could age very well, where, sure, the scoring could go down because he just doesn't have the burst anymore, but he's going to be strong as hell even when he's like 37. So, there's a chance that you sign him to that long deal, and you sign him right now to be this like 20 to 25 point game dude, but then towards the tail end of that contract, and then if you were to re-sign him, you could have a guy who is still one of the best defenders in the league, putting up somewhere between 10 to 15 points a game, still getting rebounds, still being a ball handler for you. He's already not a bad outside shooter. Perhaps if he focused on that a little bit more, then he could be one of the more valuable role players in the league at 35 years old, and he could be that era's version of what Andre Iguodala is right now for the Warriors. And then, of course, if that happens, then you're very happy that you traded for him when he was 29 years old. So, pretty much, because of all this, I don't think Jimmy is a slam dunk for every single team to acquire. But if you think you got the personnel and the head coach, then I think you go for it. Because the good side of this is his health isn't too much of a problem moving forward, age gracefully and all that. The bad side could be his personality is way too abrasive. He gets injured a little too much, and the contract looks terrible towards the end. I'm going to assume NBA front offices are looking at these things. I know I would be. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, new podcast once again. Reaction to NBA 2K19, Brockhampton, and that's it.